Namaskar. Islamophobia bill is a facade to exploit the guilt of the majority population in the West. Why do I say that? For that, I need to take you, the viewer, through a history of what is happening in Europe. So, stay with me, understand what has happened in Europe and what is probably going to happen in Europe. And then I'll come back to the United States and tell you what is perhaps going to happen in the United States too. So here, what I'm showing you is the population of Europe and the percentage of Muslims across the various countries. Now, if you start drilling down a little bit more, you will start seeing that it is France that has the highest percentage of Muslims, 8.8%, and this is 2016. And then 6 years have elapsed since then, or maybe 5 years if you want to be more conservative. And that I'll tell you what the populations are as of today, just a projection, because we can easily project this. That I'll come to in a bit. So France is at 8.8%. And if you remember, last year, France came up with a series of laws which has been construed by this Muslim minority as being targeted towards them. Why do they say that? One of the simple things that France is saying now is that you cannot share details about public officials, including those who are in the limelight, such as journalists and so on and so forth, in private pages. They want to be able to monitor that. Next thing, France is trying to make its population, all of them, first treat the fact that they are all the citizens of the country first, and then they are something else, as opposed to the other way around, where most of the minority, especially the Muslims, think that they are Muslims first, and then they are French citizens, and then something else, something else, something else. Now, they are trying to, with law, trying to change this thing. So they don't like this. Muslims don't like it. They want to protest and say that this is discrimination against them. So these protests have been happening. However, now it has become law, and you can expect France to tighten the screws a little bit more, because they need to make sure that the integrity of the country is preserved, especially since now France may be required to play a bigger role in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, let's take a look at what is the size of population as of in 2016. France had about 5.7 million. Germany was number 2 at 5 million approximately. United Kingdom was at 4.1, and so on and so forth. However, what this disguises or doesn't show is the rate at which the current population of Muslims and non-Muslims is growing in the Western Europe. The non-Muslims are growing at 1.6%. And the Muslim population is growing at 2.6%. And they're considerably younger, which means that this can only be expected to accelerate. Another data point for you. This is according to 2016. The percentage of Muslims in London was 14.4%. However, for the last 5 years, it's been noticed that one cannot elect a mayor of London as anything but a Muslim. So you can be sure that today the percentage of Muslims in London is perhaps close to 20%. And sure, soon you will start seeing the effect of this over the remaining population. They have to do something about this. I don't know what they are going to do. However, the projections are alarming. And that's why Professor 𝗣𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 continues to say that this is not Europe anymore, it is Eurobia, and that this is doomed. Now, let's take a look at how the percentage of growth projection is over the next few years, the next 30 years, under 3 different conditions. That there is zero migration. That is, the Western Europe stops taking any migrants, completely stopped. Or if there is medium migration, and if it is high migration, which is perhaps what it is today. So the population percentage of Muslims across the entire Europe will be as high as 14% by 2050. If it is moderate, around 11.2%. And if there is no migration, then it will be at 7.4%. Also, I must tell you that if you look at Sweden, it's got a very high percentage of Muslim population too, 8.1%. The challenge for Europe is to make this minority be productive. For the most part, across country to country, it is observed that most people who are coming in, they are young, but they are unemployable. They meaning like this, the government has to provide for their welfare, which means that there is a certain amount of dole. This is like infinite dole. It just goes on and on, can't be stopped. And retraining facilities, unless the population is willing to retrain itself, that doesn't happen. So these are all markers for what is about to happen in the United States. Now I want to show you what is happening in the United States. The number of Muslims in the United States. In 2007, it was around 2.35 million. In 2017, it had gone to 3.45 million. Today, in 2022, I would be willing to bet it is about 4.5 million. And it has comfortably left the Hindu Americans, who are around 4 million. They've been growing very, very slowly. And Hindus are, more or less, they've integrated into the society in the United States. They also happen to have one or maybe two children per family. So if we look at this and then look at how all this ties in with the Islamophobia bill, just take a step back and see what is going on. Right now, there are two Islamic congresswomen, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. But news is now coming through that two more seats occupied by Indian Americans, or perhaps more, 3 or 4, could be having some stiff challenge from Muslim competition. Why is this happening? Well, the reason it is happening is because they tend to be concentrated in one small area and they vote as a community. It doesn't matter how bad the person that they are voting for is. For instance, Ilhan Omar is guilty of immigration fraud, but for the reasons that I can't fathom, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, is refusing to prosecute her. So we don't know what the reasons are, but that is what it is. We have to take it on face value. Back to the question now. Why is this Islamophobia bill being taken through the round? So if you do this thing, two things happen. One is suddenly the regretful majority in the United States starts feeling even more regretful and then start treating immigrants who will be from Islamic countries with kid gloves. If you remember, Donald Trump stopped flights from several countries, in fact, all of them were Muslim countries. And now one of the first things that the Biden administration did was lift that embargo. So you can be sure that more and more Muslims are going to be coming in. I have nothing against them. In fact, PGurus is one of the first channels to highlight the plight of Muslims in Xinjiang province, that is the Uyghurs. We have got more panelists who came and told about the unspoken atrocities being committed against them. I have nothing against them. The problem is that the Muslim moderate population has faced taped many times over. They just won't say a word. They know fully well what is happening. They know fully well that there is exploitation going on, yet they don't open their mouth. It is my fervent hope that this majority starts finding its voice and starts speaking up. Just yesterday, in a place called Mainpuri in Uttar Pradesh, a mullah raped an 8-year-old girl in the masjid. 8-year-old girl. You think he's going to be prosecuted? Sure, they'll put an FIR, but after that, just like every 24-hour news cycle, it'll just be consigned to dust and everybody will forget about it. My point here is that in the garb of Islamophobia, it is the Muslims who are doing more unspeakable atrocities in India, and yet the bill that Ilhan Omar is shepherding through the Congress and Senate is trying to punish India for something that they have not done. So this Islamophobia bill emboldens people to do unreasonable acts. Just witness what happened in Texas last. So my hope and my plea is that let us all sit down and think about what is happening to this great country of ours, and let us work towards integrating everybody. But once you are in US, you are on level playing terms, and that you should be careful to obey the laws of the land. And if you don't do that, and if you start insisting on having separate rights, this means that you are thinking that you are special. You are not. Everybody is special, or no one is special. Thanks for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and also click on the bell button so that you get notified every time there is a new post. Namaskar.